In the previous video, we talked about the 4 steps in the data analytics process, and we went over the first 2 steps. The first step was to define our question based on our understanding of the process, whatever that process is. It's sports process. Well, what's the question we have with a sports analytics question? Is it a business process? Well, what's the question we have related to our business process? And then from that, we try to figure out, okay, here's my question. Well, what data do I need to answer that question? And then looking very carefully at what data do I have. And this have versus need, if I need more than I have, I may have to reconstruct or construct data to get to what I need. Or maybe the question that I'm asking can't be answered because I don't have the necessary data. And it may require me to start gathering this new data. So this also helps with what else do I need to keep gathering to be able to answer the process-based questions that I'm trying to ask. The third step, and these next 2 steps I feel are extraordinarily, these are all important, but these next 2 steps are very important. The third step in the data analytics process is come up with the logic to answer the question. Develop the logic to answer the question. And in that, in developing the logic, you also have to select your tools. Because that's part of the logic. If it's as simple as I just need descriptive statistics on something, then maybe the tool that I'm going to pick in developing this logic, I could just use Excel. Or if I just want to do some fancy graphs, maybe I just use Tableau. So part of the logic is figuring out which tools you want to use to answer the question. In this class, our default is going to be selecting Python. So this is a Python tool class. And we're going to force ourselves to use Python. What we may find though, and this is what I want you to always be reflecting on, the question you may come up with may not need Python. You could use something else. You still have to use Python in this course because this course is Python Data Analytics. But I always want you to be thinking, what's the right tool? What's the right logic? And what's the right tool within that logic, given the data that I have, to answer this question? And at the end of the semester, I'm going to ask you to give me a little reflection paper on if you had to choose a different tool, what tool would you use and why? And the last step, which is, sometimes I think all of these steps are important, but this one may be critical to your long-term success, is how do you effectively communicate your logic and the results of your review? How do you effectively communicate this to the decision maker? How do you do that? Do you just give them a bunch of data and tables? You give them a bunch of descriptive statistics, or do you make pretty pictures? What's the best way? And so this also comes down to understanding the decision maker. What does the decision maker want? Do they want lots of detailed analysis, or do they just want a one-page summary? Understanding your boss, and that's who the decision maker is. Understanding your boss and understanding what they need is going to help you be more successful as you move in your career. So these are the 4 steps in the data analytics process. And what we want to do next is go through each one of these with a live example to try to figure out what the heck is going on. So that's going to be our goal. And to do that, we're going to figure out, well, let's get some business data. Let's get a client. Let's get a couple of clients. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you a chance to choose a couple of different business companies with their data and give you a chance to go off and explore.